Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're taking a look over here at the Bitcoin price chart as prices were able to hold throughout the weekend on top of the 50-week moving average. As many probably know, as the week came to a close on Friday, we came right back down to it as the United States stock market, of course, was having a sell-off day. But here we go. We're starting a new week, and it looks like the markets are going to open to the upside. Of course, the big catalyst on Friday was the release of the unemployment rate, which came in at 4.2%, meeting expectations, however, stepping down from the previous month and being the first time to meet expectations in 5 months. Now, reflect back to early in August, on August 2nd, the last time we got the unemployment report, and then what happened to crypto through the weekend was the big spillover that happened there. Essentially, right here is the release of the unemployment report. This is the whole weekend, and then there's where the market opens right there on Monday. Stark difference to what happened here with the unemployment report on this one. Here's the release of the report. And then instead of continuing throughout the weekend, prices still continue to hold as Bitcoin still rests there on top of its 50-week moving average. Now, today actually marks a very historical day in the life of Bitcoin and in the life of the cryptocurrency market for how long it has taken for this market to expand from previous peaks. One of the examples we show a lot is Litecoin, simply because it's one of the coins that was around back in 2013. There's not a whole lot to go from for how long this market has taken. Here on the top, we have 2018 through 2020. Right here in the actual candlesticks is our current time, and right here is from back in 2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And today, September 9th, marks historical points from past peaks for not only altcoins, but also even for Bitcoin. Today specifically is the longest amount of time it has ever taken for the cryptocurrency market to get into actual expansion. In 2017, after the peak had happened in 2013, in 2017, it was this day, today, that not only things like Litecoin woke up, but it was the wake up of XRP as well. This marks the historical longest time period ever for the market to have to wake up is today, September 9th. We've gone through Bitcoin's price behavior for recoveries after super cycles and corrective structures after super cycles. None of this price behavior here has been modified for time. It's an exact copy of 2014 through 2017, literally behaving right on schedule the whole time, even with these escapes that happen in here until we finally get to this moment right here. And this is actually the true escape right here on this day for Bitcoin to go into an all-time high. This makes the longest historical cyclical behavior of Bitcoin for how long it took to recover and set a new all-time high. And when we say that, it obviously set a new high right in here as well, going above the high. But when we're talking about actual expansion taking place, none of this retracement stuff, we're talking full-fledged, we're in an actual bull run. Today marks the day of the longest ever. Now, price is certainly not going the correct direction for something like that to happen, but this price behavior has certainly made me scratch my head the whole time leading up until this moment on how it's behaved. But even in here, still escaping right on time when it should have. But if you all remember, there was the banking scare back then in March of last year, March of 2023, then whoop, up and away it went. It went into the escape. So not unheard of to happen before this thing has behaved the way it has. But boy, it sure would have to do some big price action really fast in order to somehow act right on time. That's a big move even for Bitcoin standards. However, of course, one of those things that I still have my eyes peeled on is looking over here at the dominance charts. We went over this again last week. We covered this quite often, that this type of behavior is really what happens when you get back to retracements and the safety dominance falls. And these are typically in moments of expansions. Even last week, I referenced to the Coinbase chart showing that how it went back to its 702 a second time to ultimately end up falling. Still, this is probably the thing that keeps me hanging around, is that I do believe this thing is going to fall, and we'll just have to see how the market's going to react in that moment, but that this thing is not going to maintain itself and eventually go crumbling down from where it's at right now, and that I don't think it's going to go any higher than where it is. Of course, it's been a total pain to be here because we've been here for 462 days, which is really right along the time periods of how long we spend up here in these things. But a moment like that coming is really something you would see happening during an expansion. So a little bit of hope there that Bitcoin can hold its 50-week moving average, right? Looking through history, right? Going through historical precedents set by this market is that you've never had a period where Bitcoin goes back and hits its 50-week moving average after touching the all-time high, right? Like this is the battle of the all-time high right here. This is the battle of the all-time high right here. You really don't come anywhere close to it. It's typically that we're not getting back to the 50-week moving average unless we're just kind of bouncing on it in order to go into a really deep bear market, as we saw back there in 2018 and back here in 2021 and 22. We're now at 6 months since the peak of Bitcoin came in here back in March. So to say this has been a cakewalk is laughable due to us being in a macroeconomic circumstance that has been different from all of Bitcoin's past bull runs. And we are all still just stuck here waiting to see if there can be some type of surprise that can wake up the market and bring some life into breadth in broader markets rather than it being so constrictive into just a few assets propping the whole stock market up. I saw this posted by Liz Ann Saunders over there on X, saying large speculators and hedge funds are back slightly into net positive territory for the Russell 2000 futures positioning. Now you can look in here and see when hedge funds and large speculators started turning bearish over there on the Russell and have never really gone off to consider it to be bullish. Starting really right here in the earlier part of 2021, which of course is right here. The moves that we saw there to conclude last week were the gap closures of the break upwards that happened there on Thursday, August 15th, but still waiting for something to take it into actual expansion out of the retracement levels. As for Bitcoin, the reason these dotted lines are here on the chart is because one, this would be unemployment release. This is the escape that we saw for Bitcoin's historical behavior, the longest period ever for an expansion. Then comes CPI, that of course has been the hot topic for the last 3 years. Then comes the Fed rate cut. As for CPI, that will come out this Wednesday. Current expectations are 0.2%, which would bring the year over year down to 2.6% from the current 2.9. Essentially, any month over month print that is lower than 0.5% will drop the year over year number. It has been maintaining this floor here since July of 2023. Last month hitting 2.9, the next one market expects 2.6, but it could be anywhere between 2.4 to 2.7 without some massive surprise. Concluding that data print that we get there on Wednesday, there will be no more data prints to do before the Fed comes out and does their rate cut. The current expectations are that they're only going to do a 25 basis point rate cut. Now, the story last Friday in the morning was that, they're going to do 50 basis points because the sky is falling. But as the rest of the day started to settle down, and as we're heading here into the new week, still the market prices in that it's only going to be 25 basis points, that there's not an emergency fire that needs to be put out at this minute. However, looking forward ahead, they do expect that the cuts will start accelerating and that we will be down about 250 basis points or 2.5% cut to the Fed funds rate by this time next year. But I think the most interesting thing is to reach this big historical moment in time of a pivotal change in policy happening in broader macro markets as we also get to this phase right here for the crypto market being the longest that it's ever been. Bitcoin's entire price behavior has been really right on cue the entire time. There's really just one moment in here in time where it was a little bit lagged, which was actually right in here where it was lagged about 7 days. Otherwise, really no more than 1 day during the whole time period that we've been in here. And of course, it's pretty gut-wrenching being here at this saying, are we going to do it? Is the 50-week moving average going to actually be a springboard this time rather than just a temporary support that it has been through all historical behavior? Will some magic surprise come into the market and wake it up, as today marks the longest time it has ever taken this market to wake up, in which it did it in a manner of nothing and then suddenly everything. Like we talked about for August, the market has never taken this long post-capitulation to go ahead and start waking up. But from peak to peak, today marks the day. The safety trade dominance screams it wants to do it. But the story of 2024, well, those macro factors and those macro data points give the market the confidence to open up the breadth and send the market roaring. And hopefully There's a little bit of a sign there as positioning starts believing that it can. But we'll keep our eyes on it this week. We've got more big data. It's the last data point this week until the Fed. Bitcoin maintained the 50-week moving average throughout the weekend, and it's holding it here as we kick off this week. A little bit of life over there in the altcoin market, but still, I'm looking for something a little bit more convincing to say something has actually kicked in with high volume. Simply saying things like dominance start to trend change and leave this actual range it's been in for 3 months. Or something like XRP fire into 73 cents. But at least we are seeing a positive day over there in markets as we kick off today. This wasn't the case last time we had our unemployment report. We're starting off the new week with the Dow up 420, the NASDAQ up almost 200, and the Russell about 24, with the Russell being the better performer so far today as we kick off the new week. But as we kick off the new week, the big thing, of course, is seeing that Bitcoin continues to maintain that 50-week moving average. The big data prints come this Wednesday, then next Wednesday is the Fed rate cut. The time is here for Bitcoin. We have followed this thing for years. Here we are. We are finally here. It's time for some answers. But I think we can probably mostly agree, probably not all, but mostly agree that it's likely going to have to come from over here in macro markets, because for every expansion, it always has. And what do you know? There hasn't been an expansion, and we haven't seen an expansion in crypto. It's the reason we keep pointing at it. It's the reason why the market's really confused on what's going on out there in crypto. It's why there hasn't been a banana zone. But if there's a time for it to happen, we're there. So, Godspeed. Hopefully things can turn themselves around as Bitcoin lives to see another week. But all right, that's it for this one, guys. Survived the weekend, thankfully. Again, on Wednesday, we'll get the CPI print, and then absolutely nothing will matter in the headlines except for the Fed, which is coming up the following week. You will hear nothing but Federal Reserve rate cuts in the mainstream media and in the news and on Twitter after Wednesday. And here we are at this inflection point for Bitcoin for the longest cycle in history. And this also happens to align with this moment occurring right here. So we'll see how things go. We'll, of course, stay on top of it every day. But all right, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Of course, you can check out the newsletter over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. We do a lot of research, and I audio record all of these newsletters over here. So if you want to pop it in like a podcast, or just sit there and read along with it as I go through it and review the charts with you guys. Most recent one was almost 29 minutes in there. Of course, you could check out my website, bcbacker.com, for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. There are links in the description of this video to bcbacker.com and to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Otherwise, hopefully something wakes up here in the market. We know we're at the time where something should, or else this does make it the longest and most painful market that crypto's ever experienced. But we're not there yet, so we'll see how today goes. But all right, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.